So the other day, 343, they put out a new Inside Infinite blog up on Halo Waypoint. Within the blog was a bunch of information about Halo Infinite, of course, and the upcoming tech previews, the one this weekend and the one next weekend. This weekend it's going to be Arena, and next weekend is going to be BTB. But at this point, people have had plenty of time to read the blog themselves. There's several videos on YouTube covering the details within that blog, and I'm sure most of you already know what was discussed in that blog for the most part. So I'm not going to just rehash all the same information in this video here, and I don't really want to be a Halo news channel because, for one, I don't feel like covering every bit of news. I don't want to talk about every little detail pertaining to Halo. And also, by the time, with how my schedule is, by the time I get a video out covering the news, there's going to be a ton of other YouTube videos already out there, and people probably read up on the news themselves by then. So it's kind of pointless. I understand people want to hear my take on things, and that's what a video like this is, but I'm not, on this channel, I'm probably not going to cover every bit of Halo news going forward. But what I do want to discuss in this video today is the future of Halo Infinite, or just Halo as a whole, honestly. This is more of a prediction for the future. You know, I've tried to be cautiously optimistic about Halo Infinite. The last tech preview, I can say I really enjoyed that gameplay. I mean, I had a lot of fun playing it. And following that tech preview, we got a lot of not so great news, like no Forge and no co-op and no progression system at launch, which really sucks. Like, that really sucks, especially the no progression system. I think the no co-op is a bigger failure and a bigger embarrassment for 343, but I'm more bummed out about the no progression system. I just hope that the skill ranking system is good. And it seems like the ranking system in Halo Infinite is going to be similar to Halo 5's ranking system, the different divisions like Diamond, Onyx, Champion. But I really hope that each season, when your rank resets, I really hope there's a way to see your rank for each season within the game itself, like you can do in other games like Valorant, like you could do in Halo Reach back in 2010. Because let me just say this, if Halo Infinite doesn't have a progression system at launch, which we already know, and if it also does not have a way for you to check your skill rank each season within the game itself, like you can go into your service record and check your rank for Season 1 and Season 2, if it doesn't have both of those things, I mean, that's really bad. Like, that could get me to just not play the game altogether right there. Like, gameplay should be #1 priority. And like I said with the first tech preview, I enjoyed what I played. I had fun. But it would be beneficial for the game to have these other systems to complement the gameplay. Things like a progression system, like a ranking system, a service record, and all the other little bells and whistles to go along with the gameplay. And I've never been one to play a game long term just because the gameplay's fun. There's always something else there that I'm working towards. Whether that's the skill rank and the ranked playlist, or the progression system, or achievements, or maybe it's unlocking a certain item like a weapon or a piece of armor in something like Destiny. But for me personally, it's usually the ranking system within a game that keeps me playing that game long term, that keeps me coming back. And so for Halo Infinite not to have a progression system is extremely disappointing to me. And as of now, we don't know exactly how the skill ranking system will function. Obviously, another thing that was pretty disappointing was the announcement that co-op, campaign, and Forge will not be in Halo Infinite at launch, especially co-op campaign. I think that's going to be a deal breaker for some people. I do think a decent amount of people are not going to buy the $60 campaign now because co-op campaign won't be there at launch. Maybe they'll wait till it gets added and then they'll buy the campaign, or maybe by the time it does get added, they just won't care anymore. Now, when it comes to the Forge, like I've been saying, if the Forge is incredible when it does make its way into the game, then I guess it's not such a big deal that it wasn't there at launch, although no Forge at all for 6 months, and it could be longer, That's pretty crazy. That's not good. And I keep thinking about this. The fact that we will not be able to do the most simplest of things, like just loading into a map in Forge and just spawning like a couple vehicles down, a couple weapons, just fucking around with shit, not actually creating a map. You know what I mean? Like, I still do this now. I still go in the Forge with buddies on MCC, just drop a couple items or vehicles down and just mess around, just do little things. And we're not even going to be able to do that, the most basic of things in Forge, because Forge won't be there at launch. And you know, then I think that kind of raises the question, would you rather have a more stripped down bare bones version of Forge, but it's there at launch? Or would you rather wait the 6 months for a unbelievably advanced Forge where you have forgeable AI and you could basically create your own campaign missions? Like, what would you prefer? I don't know, after the 6 months are up and Forge does get added, if it is after 6 months, I don't think that many people will really care that it wasn't there at launch at that point, unless Halo Infinite just completely dies at launch and people feel like if Forge was there at launch, then maybe that wouldn't have happened. But other than that, I don't think many people will really be bothered by the fact that it wasn't there at launch if it is incredible when it does finally come. But yeah, that's going to be really weird, not being able to do any Forge at all. No fun customs, I guess. I mean, 343, they might put their own custom games and Forge maps into the game for us, because they did have Forge maps in Halo 5 at launch before Forge was even in the game. So 343, they could put their own Forge maps and custom games in the game themselves. But what 343 can create in Forge isn't even comparable to what the community can and will make when Forge mode does come. So yeah, like I said, when I played Halo Infinite, I had fun, but that fun was followed up by a bunch of pretty bad news pertaining to the game. I mean, before the first tech preview, we had the 2020 gameplay reveal, and that was pretty underwhelming. Game didn't look that great. And during that time, people were pretty worried about the game, understandably, of course, because like I said, that gameplay reveal was very underwhelming. And after the event, 343, they kind of went dark, and there was no news about the game for a while. And all that was stuck in our heads was what we saw during the gameplay reveal, which didn't look great. But then we finally got the first tech preview. A lot of people enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. It doesn't guarantee that the game is going to be great at launch, but I will say I had fun playing that tech preview. Then they followed it up with a bunch of bad news: no co-op at launch, no Forge at launch, no progression system at launch. And here we are now, going into the second tech preview, and the third tech preview will be next weekend. And I don't know how I'm feeling about the game right now. I really don't. Today, 343, they did a live stream, basically giving us a preview of what we're going to experience in the tech preview this weekend. And I know this is only a tech preview, and they want to test their servers and stuff like that. But I wasn't really that impressed, personally, with what they said and showed off during that live stream. I was actually watching it while I was laying in bed, and I did actually doze off for a couple minutes during the BTB gameplay part. Listen, what is this game's big thing? That is my question. Because right now, 343, they're talking an awful lot about bots and big team battle. Now let me say, I don't think 343 needs to reinvent the wheel here to create a good Halo game. I don't think that at all. Like, I want a game that builds off of the classic Halo games, that builds off of Halo 3. That's what I want. And if they do that properly, I can really enjoy the game. I don't need some big brand new mode. I don't need them to go and try something that hasn't been done before. I don't need that personally. But considering there has been multiple announcements now of things I would consider fundamental to Halo that are not going to be there at launch. Well, now that's got me questioning, okay, well, what is going to be there at launch? Like, because Forge and co-op campaign and playable elites and progression system, because all that's not going to be there at launch, and things like a progression system and co-op campaign, and I would say playable elites as well, should definitely be there at launch. Because those things aren't there, what else were you guys working on? Like, what is going to be there? What is that new thing? I hope it's not just bots and the Academy. I think both of those things are cool. I'm glad they're in the game. I hope you didn't allocate too many resources and time for those things. I don't know that I will ever hop into the Academy. I mean, I might do it for like a day or two and just fuck around for a little bit. Bots are cool, but I just, they gotta stop talking about them. Like, it's not that exciting. It really isn't. Like, that may have been a huge task for them to get bots in the game, but in the eyes of the player, they're just bots. It's like, okay, it's a custom game setting. Enable bots. Well, assuming you can do that in custom games. I know it's going to be a playlist, a bot arena. That's all it is. It's a practice mode. It's a practice mode. All this time we've been playing Halo, we haven't had bots. And yeah, it would have been cool to have them, but I would not have played Halo anymore in the past if bots were in those in the older Halo games. So the bot thing, it's like, yeah, it's cool, but let's move on from this. They've talked about bots pretty extensively in their blogs, during the live stream. They're bots. I don't care. I really don't care. And I think many others share that same sentiment. So because Halo Infinite isn't going to have all these different things there at launch that should have been there at launch, what is the big new thing that will be there at launch? And why haven't they announced it yet to, counterbalance all the negative news? I mean, it's quite possible it doesn't exist. Some people think it's going to be a battle royale. I definitely do not think they are going to have a battle royale in that game at launch, and I'm kind of leaning towards the battle royale being something that we will be able to make in Forge, and that's it. I'm leaning towards that being what the battle royale for Halo Infinite is. It's going to be a Forge made battle royale. Although I don't know exactly how that'll work, because they only have 12v12 for BTB in Halo Infinite, so that's only 24 players. So how are we going to do a battle royale? I mean, a battle royale with 24 players would be pretty lame. And speaking of BTB, let's talk about that. That's the other thing that they keep talking about. Big team battle. BTB is back. It's the weirdest thing how they keep propping up BTB. BTB, it never went anywhere. It's been in Halo since Halo 2. Halo 5, you didn't have actual developer-made BTB maps. We had Forge maps. It was there. And we also had Warzone on developer-made maps, which was 12v12. So it's not this big triumphant return of BTB. No, we've always had BTB. It's just BTB. With how they keep talking about BTB and Halo Infinite, it sounds like they're treating it as if it's this big brand new mode to Halo. Like, remember back in the Halo 3 Bungie Vidocs when they talked about Theater mode and Forge mode, which were two massive new additions to Halo? I kind of feel like 343 are talking about big team battle in Halo Infinite in a similar way that Bungie talked about Forge and Theater mode being these two big brand new modes in Halo 3. Theater and Forge, those were revolutionary for Halo. BTB, it's cool. I love BTB, but I've been there. I've done that, and it never went anywhere. It never went away. So it's really strange that they're propping BTB up for Halo Infinite like they are. And that might just be because they don't have anything else. Like, that is the biggest thing that they got, big team battle, and the changes that they've made to that. Like, they showed off in the live stream today, like what people are calling loot caves, There's locked doors. You can deploy your personal AI. They'll open the door, kind of like 343 Guilty Sparks does in the campaign. And then you go in, it's like a weapon armory. There's, weapons, grenades, power-ups scattered around. And we're hyped about that. A locked door in BTB. I like things like that. I like being able to interact with the environment. That's cool. I would love to see more of that in Halo, kind of like how you can lower the bridge on Last Resort, open the bases on Standoff, extend the bridge on Longshore in Halo 3. I'd like to see more stuff like that in Halo's multiplayer maps. Halo Infinite BTB is also going to have weapons come down in, I believe, drop pods, and pelicans are going to drop off certain vehicles. And from what it sounds like that's going to be like a randomized thing, weapons dropping in and pelicans dropping off vehicles. And I actually don't like the sound of that. I don't want a pelican randomly coming in at a random time and dropping off a random item. I don't like that at all. Yeah, I know big team battle, it's not supposed to be competitive. It's not supposed to be as competitive and balanced as the ranked game modes, but I still like that fair, balanced gameplay even in the social modes, the more casual modes. Like with BTB in the past, if there's one sniper on the map and I pick that sniper up and it doesn't respawn, I know nobody else has a sniper. I don't want like a random weapon to drop down and now some random dude in their base has a sniper. Like, I don't like the idea of that. Or they randomly just come around a corner with a tank because a pelican dropped it off. I don't like the idea of that. I also don't like the random weapon spawns on the, not on the weapon pads, but the weapons on the wall, whatever they're called, the weapon racks. How in the first tech preview, the weapons switched on the weapon racks each game. Sometimes it would be like a pulse carbine. The next game it might be a needler. I don't like that. I'm definitely more of a fan of static weapon spawns and weapon placements on maps. So it's not even like I'm a fan of all the new additions they're making to BTB and Halo Infinite. I think some of the new changes I'm not even gonna like, and I think many others might feel the same way. So that's pretty much it. As it stands now, these are my thoughts on the game. And I really don't think this game, from what I know so far, I don't think this game is going to be that successful. I really don't. It probably will have the most unique players that out of any Halo game ever, because the multiplayer is free to play and gaming has grown over the years, and people have been starved for a new Halo game for a while now. So I definitely think it's going to see a player base like no other Halo game has before. But just because there's a lot of people playing it, that doesn't necessarily mean the game is good. That doesn't mean it is a good Halo game. And I do not think it will be that game that everyone's playing, everyone's talking about, everyone's streaming. I don't think it's going to be that. Maybe, of course, when it first launches, there's going to be a ton of eyes on it, a ton of people playing it, of course. But I think the success that game will have will be similar to what we just seen recently with the game Splitgate, if you guys have been following that. That game came out, I think, about a year ago, and the player base on that game had been super low for a really long time. And recently, it just had a spike in players, like a massive spike. And like I think around 60,000 people were playing it or something like that. But that number has dropped exponentially. And that was to be expected, honestly. I mean, I definitely saw that coming. And I think we're going to see, I mean, we saw it with Halo Reach when that made its way to PC. The first day, I think we had like 160,000 people in the game, and we saw how fast that dropped, and now MCC has, a relatively low population. And I think we're going to see something similar, not to the same extent with Halo Infinite. Halo Infinite is still going to be very popular, tons of people playing it, but I don't think it's going to be the next big thing, if you know what I mean. And real quick, going back to Big Team Battle in Halo Infinite, Halo does not need large player counts to be a successful game. to be a fun game. It does not need that. I mean, people have been playing Halo for years and loving Halo without those large player counts. So it definitely doesn't need to do that. But I definitely think a lot of people would like to see larger player counts in the game, bigger maps, more players. I think that would be a ton of fun. And when you just look back, Halo CE, Halo 1 in 2001, 20 years ago, you could do 16 players in one game with system link. Yeah, it wasn't the easiest thing to do in the world, but you could do it. You could put 16 players in a game. And you mean to tell me 20 years later, we 20 years later we can only do 8 more? 2004, Halo 2. You could do 16 players in a game over Xbox Live. 2015, 6 years ago, Halo 5. You had 12v12 in Warzone, plus a bunch of AI in the map as well. But with Halo Infinite, the Halo game of 2021 being in development longer than any other Halo game, a new engine, even though it's not a brand new engine, we can only do 12v12, which is what we could do 6 years ago, and 20 years ago we could do 16 players. We only got 8 more in 20 years. It's something. It just doesn't add up. Oh, and I forgot to mention, Halo Infinite has also had the largest budget out of any game ever, I believe. If it's not number 1, it's like number 2 or number 3. So yeah, I do think the fact that it's only 12v12 is kind of embarrassing, honestly. And it's funny, man. Like, look at some of the games that are popular now. Battle Royales are still really popular, which you have large player counts in that. Battlefield is coming out in November. That's 128 players in a single game. And then you have Halo Infinite with their big team battle mode. Big 12v12. Like, okay. All right. Whatever, man. Whatever. I don't know. Like, I'm not trying to be a pessimist or anything like that. Those of you who've watched plenty of my videos, I think you understand that I like to be honest. I like to give it to you straight. I'm not going to sugarcoat things, and if I am enjoying the game, if I do have positive things to say, I say them, but I'm not going to force the positivity. I'm definitely not going to do that. But like with many of my videos in the past, I'm sure there's some people that have stopped watching this video right here within the first minute or two and left a dislike, left a comment calling me just a 343 hater. You can't find anything good to say. You just want to hate on 3. Whatever, dude. Yeah. The valid criticism isn't a thing, I guess. Sure. Yeah. Whatever, man. You're really intelligent. Anyways, those are my thoughts on the game. Not too excited about Halo Infinite right now. Maybe that'll change after this weekend and the following weekend playing these tech previews. We'll have to wait and see. Halo Infinite could still be a very fun game, even if it is missing things that it should have had there at launch. But like I said, I don't think it's going to be the next big thing. I think a lot of people will play it right when it comes out and then drop it pretty quickly. And it is very important for things to be there at launch, things that you would expect to be there at launch. Like I hope 343 doesn't think adding these features into the game later on doesn't have a negative impact on the game. Like, not having certain things there at launch could be detrimental to the game's success. It doesn't make up for it if you add it into the game 3 months or 6 months later. But again, with the Forge, if it is incredible, then I can understand that more. And also, I will say about Halo Infinite's success and how well this game does, I don't think 343 is entirely to blame if it doesn't do too well. And what I mean by that is, even if Halo Infinite is like a phenomenal Halo game, like the best Halo game ever, it just seems like people are more interested in the Battle Royale type of games. Valorant, a lot of people, that's been popping off recently, and just playing other just weird games, single player games, stuff like that. For whatever reason, I think Halo's gameplay is phenomenal. Well, the good Halos. I think it's super underrated. I think it's an incredible game. And for whatever reason, despite how good Halo's gameplay is, you know, it's not as popular as it could be, and there's, you know, multiple different reasons for that. It's been a while since we got a new Halo game, but I'm not going to get into all that right now. We'll see what Halo Infinite does at launch. Right now, I'm thinking it's going to just... I don't think it's going to blow up. I really don't. I think it's going to launch, and that's going to be it. Like, you know, the feeling we all have right now after having played the first tech preview? Like, you know, it was cool. It was fun. We're all chilling right now. It's whatever. Like, I kind of feel it's going to be like a similar feeling after the game launches as well. We're going to play it that first day, that first week, and then it's just going to be like, yep, this is Halo. We might really enjoy the game. Maybe we won't, but I definitely think there's going to be several other games that outshine Halo. So I'm going to leave it there. Those are my thoughts on Halo Infinite so far. Let me know what you guys think. Has your excitement gone down? Has it increased? How do you feel right now about Halo Infinite? Again, I want to say this. I read every single comment. Well, I don't read every single comment, but I read a lot of the comments, even though I don't respond to them all. So, like, when you leave a comment, it's not like I'm just ignoring it. Like, I read it and I enjoy reading them. So definitely leave a comment. But anyways, that's going to do it for this one, guys, and I will see you on the next one. Peace out, everybody.